One of the other stories that we are following very carefully this week has to do with Title 42, the immigration policy established in response to the COVID-19 pandemic that was set to expire today, but now remains in limbo as the Supreme Court delayed any action in response to an appeal from 21 states. Yesterday, the Biden administration requested that the court let the policy end, but only after delaying at least until after Christmas. So what can we expect going forward? Joining me to discuss that is Representative August Pfluger. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, is the ranking member on the House Committee on Homeland Security, Subcommittee on Intelligence and Counterterrorism. He represents the 11th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Pfluger, thanks for taking some time today.
Well, thank you for having me. And apparently, it's not the only thing to have something jammed up in a bill, but also the Washington traffic, which is preventing me from being on camera. But you bring up an important issue, which is the issue of Title 42 and how it relates to our border security in Texas.
Yeah, and tell us a bit about that. You are in a border state. We've all just kind of been waiting to see if Title II and when Title 42 would be repealed, what the impact of that would be. How are you in Congress and people in Texas preparing for this?
Well, first off, to start with Texas, the only person who's really doing anything when you compare the federal government to states is Governor Abbott. And he's taking the action to try and secure our border using National Guard troops, having a variety of different layers of defense. But let's be clear, Title 42 is a stopgap measure. It's the only thing that Border Patrol, Customs, and other CBP agents and officers are able to use right now. It's not intended for border security. The real issues with border security lie with the lack of political will of the Biden administration. And, when you go down there, and I was just there a few weeks ago in El Paso, it's tragic. I mean, it's absolutely tragic. And let me put this in perspective. Right now, we have about 8,000 illegal immigrants coming across the southwest border daily. If Title 42 were to end today, Border Patrol agents are telling us that it will be 15,000 a day. This is tragic, and it's because those human trafficking organizations, cartels, and criminal organizations are out there, and they're incentivized by the money that they're making off of each one of these people. It's really a modern-day form of slavery, if you will.
Now, in our next segment, Congressman, we're going to talk to the mayor of Midland, Texas, about how this is affecting communities and towns in Texas and border states and border towns, and how this is affecting their life, because that's very different than just the political implications of this for our nation. But what's interesting about this entire story is that there seems to be a real disconnect within the public. Those who think this is one of the most serious issues our nation is facing, and others who at least act as if this is a complete nothing burger. Now, is that dynamic playing itself out in Congress as well, where you see some who think it's a crisis and some who think it's nothing at all?
Well, clearly, and unfortunately, it really lies along partisan lines right now. And I applaud you for talking with Mayor Patrick Payton of Midland. He's a great leader, a patriot, someone who understands this issue. And unfortunately, someone who has had to deal with this issue because of the drugs and the fentanyl and the overdosing. I mean, it is affecting every single community to the tune of over 100,000 people who died from fentanyl last year. And that's because the Biden administration has a wide open border policy, even when Secretary Mayorkas says it's closed. And let me make one other point on this issue. Last year, we as Republicans went to El Paso. We were the ones who uncovered the fact that dozens of people had come across our border illegally that matched the terror watch list. We were mocked by Democrats. We were called liars by people in the media, only to find out that it was true. And now we know that the number of people who have crossed the border who matched the terror watch list in fiscal year 22 was 98 people. That's incredible. And I've said this, but the system is flashing red and our national security is at stake. We have to have an administration who will put their foot down and secure our border.
Excellent points. It's fentanyl, it's national security, it's the issue of dealing with terrorism. Can they just get into our country easily? And it's just, what's this doing for life in America in these communities that are just being overrun? Congressman Pfluger, thanks for your vigilance on this effort, and thanks for your time as well.
Thank you so much.